In a world full of movie podcasts, here is one more. Welcome to Defend Your Movie with Sean Donnelly.
The time has come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and fight, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on, bring it to me. Defend your movie.
And I will raise you up on eagle's wings. Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Defend Your Movie. I am your host, Sean Donnelly. Thank you so much for joining us. We just gave you a church. That's a Catholic church hymn to start off the show that our guest was singing when he came into the studio. Unfortunately, today we are sans Farah, but I have an amazing guest for you. He's hilarious. You know him from his show on Sirius Satellite Radio, The Row Report. He's one of my pals, one of the funniest comics in the city. Andy Fiori, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for doing this, dude.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
I want to raise you up on eagle's wings. And we're in. It's very weird because the studio is Showbiz Studios, and it's run by basically an old Jew.
Yeah, it couldn't have been
I don't
anymore.
think we can do church stuff.
Maybe I was subconsciously rubbing it in.
Are you allowed to have Catholic stuff in here, Alex? Can we get next
wafers.
episode? Can I get a Eucharist?
He doesn't know what those means.
I'm gonna change the podcast to Defend Your Body of Christ. So thank you so much for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me,
It's
bro.
always a pleasure to see you. You're one of my pals. I love you.
Yeah, likewise.
Besides being so hilarious, you're a good dude. And I get that a lot too. People go, besides being funny, you're a good guy. And I'm like, are they sidling when they're saying that?
No, I think it's
people mean it.
I think so. And I think that's important too.
I think it is important.
You know?
I think it's important. I think it's very easy to be a good guy. We're in comedy. People know. We've talked about comedy so much in this podcast, so they know what I'm talking about. But like, it is. It's very easy as long as you're cool with everybody. The way I think of it is this, and I don't know how you think of it, but I'm like, I just want to be cool with everybody without kissing anybody's ass.
Totally.
That's my point.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
like, it's one of those things where like, yeah, you can get too crazy where people are like, oh, that guy's a climber, this guy does this guy. But
Yeah.
like, if you're cool with the people and like you're funny and you do what you're supposed to do and you're just like straight up nice, there's nothing wrong with that.
Totally.
And it's very easy to do.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people fail at it.
A lot of people fail at it. People reveal themselves very quickly in this business.
Absolutely.
But
it's very
then
hard
I think
for people.
like guys like you, guys like me, you find each other
Yeah.
and you kind of
Gravitate.
generate toward gravitate.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa,
I think
all my
you're
best
right.
friends are good people.
Good guys,
it's like,
right.
well, that's not that hard to surround yourself with the people.
No, absolutely not. And I think what happens is, I don't know. I think that people get. I understand, and this is also with the little the caveat, not caveat, whatever you want to call it, the bumper here that most people we know are good people. Like it's most people in there.
Sure.
And then that's when you know in comedy you run into like the shitty people. You're like, oh, let me steer clear. Let me completely just get away. You go, hey, how are you? And then just run right away. There's like I can think of 5 people in my
totally.
head, and then so you don't have to worry about dealing with them. That's what it is. But whatever. That's just comedy talk. But yes, that's why I had you, because that's what's funny, because people do say that about me, and I just realized that as I'm saying about it, I'm like, oh no, they must mean it, because I really do mean it when I'm saying about you. Yeah. But yeah, so we are going to try something different today on the podcast. Usually what we do is this. We do somebody comes in and they defend a movie they love that nobody else does. Now, we've had a little bit issue with that because people they rack their brains. You kind of had the same issue where you were like, you were telling me movies and you were telling me all these great movies, and a lot of them were just like these cult classics, what'd you say, Slapshot and Youngblood. And I'm like, people will have my head for having somebody quote unquote defend it. So
right, that's why it's hard.
That's why it's hard to do.
The other thing too is like it's almost admitting you're like, I don't have that shitty of a taste.
Absolutely.
So you're like, I don't really know what movie I can defend.
Absolutely. And Joe List had the same issue where like he was like, all the movies I watch are good movies. And I'm like,
to bring it back, I think we are very much alike movie-wise.
I think so too.
And that's why it was hard for me. We were going back and forth last night texting. I'm like, fuck, what am I going to bring to the table.
And
And I was
literally
getting nervous. I'm like,
no, don't get nervous. But I
I
literally
sent it out to my text message chain for like my boys from home. I'm like, yo, what's a fucking guilty pleasure I have a movie? And they came up with Striking Distance, which I can't believe you haven't seen.
I just haven't seen it. It's Steven Seagal,
That's
right?
a great one.
Is it Steven
No,
Seagal?
it's Bruce Willis and Sarah Jessica Parker, and they're boat cops
Oh no, I've never seen
in
that.
Pittsburgh. They're river cops.
You know
I'm
what?
sorry.
Well, I will promise right now, I'll have you back to do that as like defending that.
It's
movie.
actually really great.
Is it really?
Like the dad from Frasier's on there, John Malone.
John Mahoney.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Is his name John Mahoney?
John Mahoney, yes.
Yeah.
The
He's
dog's
the dad
there.
from Say
It's fucking
Anything.
great.
Yeah, the dog. They just have the dog from Frasier in every movie he does after Frasier. They're like, John, we love you, but can you bring the dog?
Yeah, it's like early 90s, and so I was like, perfect. And then you didn't see it.
And they're boat cops.
They're the Three Rivers, Pittsburgh. There's river cops on a boat. He's like a washed up street cop. Like he's a drunk.
Yeah.
And then he gets like relegated. They're like, you got to stay on the water. You can't be a normal beat cop.
Do you know what I saw? And if you want, we can go like shitty Bruce Willis movie to shitty Bruce Willis movie. Back in the day when it came out, I saw Color of Night. Did you ever see Color of Night?
I don't think I know
it was
that
with
one.
him. It was Bruce Willis and Madonna. And the claim to fame is I think they're like the big crazy controversy back in the day. I think they showed a little bit of Bruce Willis penis in it. I think there's like a
Really?
little or like. There's some kind of story behind it where like you can kind of see the outline of his penis. Like this is in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So
But that
like,
was taboo.
It was very taboo. And Madonna's in it as well, and I think she might be a little bit naked. So I remember being a kid being like, I gotta see this movie.
Yeah.
And then you watch it, and it's just like this awful, like,
Yeah.
romantic, like thriller type thing. And it was just not good. I don't even remember the plot. I couldn't even tell you the plot. Of the
I've never even heard of it.
Oh, yeah. It came out probably like 91. It was like in his heyday. It was like,
Yeah.
Bruce Willis's heyday.
This is, I want to say 93 for Striking Distance.
They're doing a roast of Bruce Willis.
I saw that.
Yeah, and I'm shocked because all the stories you hear about him is that he has no sense of humor.
Really?
Well, that's what I heard. All you hear about those on the set stories and all that. I think this is a way for him to repair his persona, like his reputation. Because I remember hearing, like Kevin Smith had a story about him not being cool. When they worked on that cop movie together, where Kevin Smith directed it. I forget what it's called. And I think there's all these little stories. I think there's both about him, but there's a lot of stories that come out about. I don't know for sure, but I've heard these stories about him being a jerk to people on set.
Sometimes those make the best roasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
that's what Donald Trump did one, and he has no sense of humor about himself. And then Donald Trump did one, and then after, did you see the thing in the news? And we're not going to talk about Donald Trump all the time on this, but did you see the thing in the news about Seth Meyers admitted that after Seth Meyers made fun of Trump at the Correspondence Center years ago in 2011 or whatever it was, Trump said, I want you to publicly apologize for making fun. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that. What are you, crazy?
Totally.
Yeah, so that guy just has no sense of humor. And even when he was on the Trump roast, he just had this smirk on the entire time. He wasn't like, he wasn't laughing. He was just kind of like putting up with it, whatever it was. I don't know. Anyway, so what we're going to do this episode, to get into it, you said I could defend Big Lebowski as a sports movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know where you're getting that from. I have no idea. Because the sports of that thing is basically just a backdrop of that movie. There's no. I guess you can say that about a lot of sports movies are like that, actually. But like the playing of the sports is nowhere. If you took all the parts in like playing bowling in Big Lebowski, it adds up to like 6 minutes of the thing. It just has that one thing where they don't actually even play. They play.
No,
and it's just them
they
talking about
very
them
much
getting,
play.
They play.
It's a central figure in the movie.
Well, no, because they have that moment with Quintana where he comes over and he's like, you try to get me in trouble for pulling a gun on the lane. Or you pull out a gun on the lanes, you try that shit with me.
Dude, all the important decisions are made at the bowling alley. Dude, it plays a large part of that movie.
Okay, I know. What I'm saying is this. They're bowling when they're making decisions about the kidnapping, but they're not. The bowling decisions aren't the main crux of the movie. Now what we're gonna do today is this. I said what we should do. We're gonna put Big Lebowski up against Rudy.
Yeah, I love it.
So we can say like which is a better sports movie. And I like that's a no brainer right there because Rudy, the crux of the thing is like him getting on the team, and then I will give you this about Rudy. You can say the same thing about Rudy. It's the backdrop. It's just about him like meeting his goals and and having a drive and following through with what
true underdog.
A true underdog movie.
Beat all odds.
Yeah, but there's no part in Big Lebowski where they're literally like, hey, here's the big championship bowling match. That's not a thing at all. They're just more like, hey.
No, but there is.
No, there is. When?
They're like, they're the whole thing with Walter and how he won't roll on fucking Saturdays. That's like the main tournament. That's the semis.
Oh, yeah, and then they actually end up doing it. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
I mean, Donnie fucking dies at the bowling alley. I mean, sports is a very central theme in that movie, man.
It's bowling. It's literally the sport that I took in Nassau Community College. That was my gym.
I have a credit.
I have a credit. You ever hear the story about why, that is true, Steve Buscemi, who plays Donnie, I think towards the end of the movie, like right at the end of the movie, or towards the end,
Yeah.
they just have him, they're telling tell him to shut up or something in the movie, and he just drops dead of a heart attack. You ever hear the reason why they did that?
No.
I heard the Coens did that because in Fargo, he won't shut the fuck up. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I fucked that up. That's why John Goodman is saying shut the fuck up the whole time.
That's
because
hilarious.
in Fargo, he won't stop talking.
God, I love all of their work so much.
It's so good.
I love
Well, we
Fargo.
did a whole thing with them, which is the best.
Yeah, we could do that on.
Oh, we did that. We did that on an episode already where we were like, we put up against like all the movies against each other. We said, what's better, No Country for Old Men or Fargo? And we came out with Fargo.
I'm going Fargo.
Fargo on
any
that
day.
one. Yeah. No, they're amazing. Oh, dude,
My favorite is actually Raising Arizona.
Is it?
Yeah, I
We were
go
talking
back
about
and
that one,
forth
too.
every few years, but it's such a brilliant movie.
It's such a good movie. See, I would say I like Big Lebowski better than Raising Arizona, but I do like Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
But when I was like, Big Lebowski, it was like, the circumstances of me watching that movie was like, it was 95, so I was like 17. And I was like, I thought I was gonna be like this big movie director, so I was like, yeah, the Coens, yeah. I was like a movie snob. I'm like, no, the Coens are.
We should collab.
Maybe we should collab with the Coens, me and the Coens.
Yeah,
and
I thought the same
Tarantino.
thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, you just think like
Totally.
that's what I thought. I always loved stand up, but I never thought I'd be a stand up. I thought I'd be a movie.
Same
movie
here,
director.
man.
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. I had that, and it was like Tarantino was like one of the reasons for that. I remember I went to go see
Kevin Smith,
Darkman
too.
in '93. I went to go see Darkman with Liam Neeson.
Yeah, yeah.
And I came home and I was like drawing storyboards for the Darkman movie I was going to make, and I was like into it. And then I went to Nassau Community. I took a movie making class, and the guy, I think I talked about it in the podcast once. The guy's name was Professor Samuels, and his claim to fame is that he was a cameraman on Happy Days. That was his big thing, and he was a giant prick. This guy, he was a mean
course.
to everybody.
That's so funny.
He was so mad. And then I went to Hunter and took film, and something about it, I was like, I'm not. And I kind of I edged out of it. I just like communications and stuff. But like,
that's just, dude, mirror image. I was a communications major. I took all the film courses, and
Yeah.
I had one of those like same professors who actually, not to get too off topic, but
No,
he
go for
told me when his father, one of my professors, his father worked in film, and so he was like, I used to hang around the studios back in the heyday in like the 40s and the 50s, and he goes, and I'll never forget when I was a little kid, I was in the public restroom on one of the studio lots, and W.C. Fields came in.
Get out of here. How old was this guy? 112?
He was super. He was like, I was maybe 7.
But even for him to be a kid when W.C. Fields
You're
is,
right.
Yeah.
He goes, so I'm taking a piss, and W.C. Fields comes in, classic W.C. He's got a drink in one hand. He's got a drink in one hand, and he starts pissing, and he looks at the kid, the kid's looking up at him, my professor. He's just looking at W.C. Fields, and W.C. Fields looks at him, he looks at the drink, he goes, as he's pissing, he goes, almost seems like a waste of time.
Oh my God! Yeah. Turn it off, W.C. Fields.
I know, totally.
He's always on, this guy.
He's always on.
That is like the perfect story.
Yeah.
Wait, so when he was your professor,
He was old.
He was like
old.
70s.
Yeah.
He must have been like 70.
He was old, yeah.
Maybe 80s.
Yeah, probably.
Because
This is
Fields-
also 2001, too.
Right,
You know,
okay, so was he around in the 40s, W.C. Fields?
I don't even know that time frame. I mean,
Yeah.
he could have made it up, but it was a great story.
No, that's fucking hilarious.
Isn't that funny?
Almost a waste of time.
Almost seems like a waste of time.
That's how I know that I wasn't, like, even my dad. Did you watch a lot of movies with your dad?
Not really.
Not really. See, that was a big thing with me and my dad. Like, but that's how I know W.C. Fields is so old, because we wouldn't watch W.C. Fields. We didn't even watch Marx Brothers. We watched Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, which really old. That's how I knew. I'm like, W.C. Fields, I think, is like 20s or 30s.
Yeah. I mean, no, I never. My dad's 94, so my dad's super old.
So he might have known W.C. Fields.
I know. He was a senior, then he was a sophomore.
Your dad was in the bathroom as well.
Yeah. No, my dad will, when I go home to visit my parents, I'll watch movies. Such a fucking guilty pleasure I have is I'll catch up on all the movies on demand, and I'll order it on their bill.
Oh, yeah.
When I go home,
What are you, a college kid?
Totally.
You're doing your laundry?
But my dad does appreciate a good movie. Like, he'll sit down and watch. But we never went to the movies as a family or anything like that. I found movies on my own somehow. I think my
With your
friends and I
stuff.
just became movie geeks.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just, like we were talking about earlier, like we're pretty much the same age. That we grew up in a great era of movies. Like, we were all in high school in the 90s. Great decade for movies.
Absolutely.
Which, Lebowski and Rudy.
And also, like, it's out of touch for your dad. Your dad's almost not going to get, like, I remember even after a while, my dad died when he was young. He died when he was 53. But, like, but then he got sick and stuff like that. So he was like, he couldn't even follow movies after a while. So it's like, if you're 94, I can imagine just watching it and be like, I don't care.
He's starting to get to that point. Like, he just nods off in the middle of it. And then it's like,
and
what did he say? And I'm like, I can't backtrack that.
It's like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not a sports guy. You're a sports guy, right?
Big sports guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. But I'm not a sports guy. And I lose interest with sports. People talk about sports. I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I can't get into it.
I get that.
Or it happens with a game. Like, I'll start, I'm like, I want to watch this game. And I'll start. 15 minutes and I just fucking switch the channel.
I know I'm going to miss it when it's gone, but watching sports with my dad is a grueling task just because it's...
Oh, with your dad?
What's the score? How much time? Who's that? What's that? And then I have a whole fucking bit about it, but like instant replay screws with him. It's
Yeah. Oh, he's like, how
hold on. That's from 2 weeks ago. No, nothing happened. It's just...
that's two different teams.
It's mayhem. Yeah, that's black and white.
That's highlights.
That's Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, we're watching the news now. That's the weather. Like, you're just watching the weather. So I think what we should do is this. I was thinking on the way here, like, because I love the idea of doing verses.
Yeah.
If we dissect what's a better movie, Rudy or Big Lebowski, and they're so different, but they do have the common theme. They're based around sports. You're right, and I do like the idea that you opened up this thing that like nobody ever would describe Big Lebowski as a fucking sports movie. Yeah, I like that, but it is. You're right. There is moments where they're like, oh, if this big match better happen. It's like this weird. That's the thing about Big Lebowski. I heard that was the point of it. They say there's all this stuff that goes on. Whoever wrote, they were modeling it after these stories of these guys who wrote these novels in like the 30s. I forget the name. If you guys know the name of these authors, and all this stuff goes on. Like they had these mystery novels where all this background stuff would go on, and just by happenstance they would solve the crime. So that's what happens in Big Lebowski.
Yes,
just by accident,
right.
shit just resolves itself.
Yeah.
But everything's so dire, but it's really not. None of it matters ever. The guy, they're never going to go to jail or anything. Nothing's going to happen. Like that guy who plays, he's great. He's in Blood Simple. He's like a main Coen brother guy. The guy who plays the other Jeff Lebowski, the older one.
Big Lebowski. Yeah.
And like, he's amazing in it, but like, he's not actually going to turn them in or do anything. There's really no stakes in the movie if you really think about it.
Yeah, he's actually the worst guy. He's the guy who sets up Little Lebowski. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He sets him up and he's a scumbag about it. But it's one of those things where you're watching it where you're like, oh yeah, you could totally throw the bowling in as part of that soup of like just random stuff happening in the movie, But I'm wondering, but for me personally, I'm like, ooh, I'm like, if I have to defend, because you were like, I always figured like, as I'm writing here, I'm like, oh, I guess you would take Big Lebowski, I would take Rudy, and I'm like, the more I think about it, I'm like, is Rudy a better movie than Big Lebowski? And I'm like, probably is. If you think about it, in terms of what you think about it along the lines of, now you look along the lines of sports movie, yes, it's a better sports movie. And if you look along the lines of like traditional movie, yes, it is. Which is funnier? Yeah, Big Lebowski's funnier, but Rudy's not a comedy. So that's where you fall into the trap of like, then why compare them? But it's true though. Like, it's one of those things where you could say they're done in a different tone. Like, Rudy has that like.
Sure, Rudy first of all is based on a true story, so you have that.
Well, apparently that's half bullshit too. You ever hear that story?
I have heard that. Yeah, I always
the guy he kind of made it more than it was.
Right.
Supposedly.
And that's fine for the movie. I mean,
it's a movie.
Exactly.
It happens all the time.
Great ensemble cast in both, so I don't think you can judge one way or the other there. Because you forget Favreau, Vince Vaughn is in it.
Yeah.
I can't think of the guy who plays his father. I'm blanking on his name.
Ned Beatty.
Yeah, Ned Beatty. Exactly.
Ned Beatty was just like Oscar winner. I think he's Oscar winner for Deliverance, where he got raped.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like Rudy, you have that drama, and you have that like movie hokiness where you're like, I am rooting for Rudy.
Absolutely. His fucking, he goes off to pursue his college football dream. His chick leaves him for his brother. He comes home and his chick's fucking with his brother now.
Yeah,
it's just like accepted. She's just at Thanksgiving.
Yes, what the hell is with that and Rudy? It's one of those weird things. Like their family is so mean to Rudy.
That's straight up Irish cat. I think. It's just like, yeah. But no, it's that jealousy. It's that that sibling rivalry. Where remember when he's like, he finally brings the acceptance letter to Notre Dame. And he brings it into the fucking steel mill.
Yes, to show his father.
And his father's so proud. And his brother is like, brushes it off because his brother, he's like,
jealous.
Now you're the star. Like, he's not
the star of the film. That's the thing you can say the faults of Rudy are. Some of them are, there's really cheesy parts to it. Like when one of the ones I can't get out of my head where that like, it makes it drop down in points in my brain is when, at the end, the brother that supposedly hates him, when he actually gets on the field and I think he like, does he end up scoring the touchdown? I think
no. He makes a big tackle. He makes a tackle.
And then when he's running out to the field, that brother that hates him just points at him and he goes, "You're the one." And I'm like, you might lose me on that. Like, that's the one moment that I'm like, man, this is a pretty cool, gritty sports drama. Like everybody can relate to it because there's like dad issues. Every guy can relate to it because there's like daddy issues.
Dude, oh, totally.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I cry every single time. I cry every single fucking time.
That's a good topic. Yeah, I've cried at Rudy. I've teared up.
Absolutely.
You know what I cry like a baby at is the end of, and this is actually not, you wouldn't expect this, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
Holy
Even though that end scene, it gets a little hokey with the quick cuts and the edits.
Oh, when he's when he's like, "Hello, Mrs. Bates," or "Hello, Mrs. Smith."
It's a very weird montage. All of a sudden,
it's very corny, but it gets to me every time.
Oh yeah, but
you know
then
what shot gets to me in the quick cuts at the end of Planes and Trains, where they're kissing, and then you see John Candy look down, and he has his mitten, one mitten on, one mitten off, and he just kind of just moves his fingers a little bit, like he's nervous.
Yeah,
that does it for me.
Dude, it is so heartbreaking.
It's very heartbreaking.
When he goes, the realization that his wife's been dead the whole time. Yeah. I mean, that's a fucking heartbreaker.
When he's like flashing back, and he's like, "I haven't been home in years." It's it's also like Steve
Martin. He's
putting
it all together.
How did you not pick that up at the time?
He's putting it together like he figured out it was Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, it was that's his version.
Have you ever thought about it now and then? You go, wait, was he selling fucking shower curtain rings?
Yeah, that was the whole joke. That was the whole gag. Yeah. That was the whole thing where it's like, how are you? What's surviving? What's happening?
Totally.
Yeah, you're right. Dude, he has that Usual Suspects moment where he's wait a minute.
Oh, dude, how about the genuine article speech? People like it. My wife likes it.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. I'll cry at that and I cry at the end.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
I'm such an easy cry, too. I really am a pushover when it comes to all that stuff.
I've gotten worse with it as I've gotten older. As I've gotten older, now I'm not old, but I'll be 40 on Saturday.
Yeah.
But as I get older, I'm crying at stuff a little bit more easy. I don't cry like a baby at a lot of stuff,
right.
But like I'll get upset. Like I got upset at like there was a video online of this woman who found
nothing for
it takes nothing. A woman who found a bee that had no wings, and then she took it in.
It's this flightless bee.
This flightless bee. And she took the bee in, and then it was like she had an English accent. And she was like the sweetest older lady, and she was like,
I can't handle that.
I realized he needed my help, and I can't even do the English accent. And she's talking about how she had to get him. She made his own like area where he was he was in captivity, but he had the flowers to go up to and all that. Like he had all this stuff, and then she goes, I knew it would end. She goes, I knew it wasn't going to last forever, but I wanted him to be as comfortable as possible. And then sure enough, she realized and the bee, the video, watch the video online. The bee walks all over her hands. The bee walks on her face. It basically gives her kisses on her face. Like the thing loved her.
I can't.
It's insane, dude. It's so sad. I cried watching that.
Oh yeah.
I was
forget it.
And there's this one group of internet videos. It's like the logo for it looks like a duck or like a mallard kind of thing.
Yes.
And they always have these animal videos, and that's the ones that always get to me.
I can't watch another veteran come home to his golden retriever who picks up the scent like he's outside and the dogs.
And he's circling.
I've got to walk. I'm like, I'm a blackjack dealer. I do that.
Oh, yeah. Like Casino.
Great visual for radio, Andy.
Yeah. No, everybody knows what you mean. Remember Casino? He does it. He goes, yeah, you're done. You're done. With Joe Pesci, when he's like, take this shiv and stick it up your ass. No,
10. Give him 10. That's...
10. But dude, that's
He fucking throws Rickles to the ground.
He goes, "What do you want, you Jew prick?"
He tosses Rickles. It's one of the funniest things ever. You know, Rickles is just on the floor getting beat on.
Oh my god! But yeah, dude,
You Jew motherfucker, you.
I've gotten like that. I've gotten like that lately, where I'll cry at stuff like that online, or like
Takes nothing.
or like I guess like just some TV stuff or whatever it is. So you have to wonder, like, but back in the day, I wasn't like that. Like, it took a lot for me to cry. So, like, Rudy was one of them that I would, like, tear up at. And then
Every
Planes
time.
and Trains. Yeah, that's the other thing. It has the crying fit. There's no crying in Big Lebowski. That's the thing. One of them is, like, it depends on what you want to watch.
I mean,
They're
I
so
guess
different.
the saddest scene would be, like, Donnie's funeral, but then they just punchline it at the end with Walter shaking up.
All the ashes
And you
flying
feel
into his
fucking the dude's frustrated. He goes, "God damn it, Walter!" You know, he's covered in Donnie. He's literally covered in Donnie,
It's amazing.
and it's a sad scene. And he's doing a very nice like obituary kind of thing. He goes, "Donnie, who loved surfing. It was who loved bowling." And then he starts going into he goes,
Well, you know what? The character the dude was based on was a guy, I forget his real name. It was a guy who financed their first movie for them, helped them finance it.
"Oh, so I don't know any backstory, but
Yeah, that's basically what I forget his real name. You can look it up. It's something that sounds like Lebowski.
right."
And this guy, believe me, dude, when this came out, I was obsessed with it. Like, I almost went to the first Lebowski Fest. They have,
Right.
You know, they have the Lebowski Fest?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's still going.
I think so.
The first one was in Louisville, in Kentucky. And I remember being in Long Island being like, wow, if I could just have enough money to get a plane ticket to Louisville, I'd go to Lebowski Fest. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I think I'm coming to a realization where I think as a movie, I like Rudy better than Lebowski, but Lebowski was a part of my past so much. Like, I mean, like, I want to make movies past that and it's also a Cohen. When you add a Cohen thing to it, who directed Rudy? Oh, wait, let me see.
Oh, good question. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Now.
What was it? Some no name?
David Astenberg or something?
Oh. Because here's the thing, I like the look of Rudy. I think they did a good thing of, like, it's supposed to be in the 60s, right? Like, it's supposed to be like in the early 70s, I think.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. Hold on, we'll get it right here. David. Oh yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. Angelo Pizzo wrote it. Oh yeah, the guy who directed it also did a bunch. He's a sports guy. He did Hoosiers. Well, he did, and then he was a TV director. And then he did Little Red Wagon, which is a movie, I guess. And then he did. Yeah, he just did a bunch of TV after that. But, like, I don't know. I think he did a good job. Oh, then he did. What was Swing Vote? Oh, yeah. Yeah, basically, he was known for Rudy and for Hoosiers. Hoosiers is another one. We probably should have done. That's what we probably should have done.
Yeah, we could have done. I know
We should
two
have.
more. Well, no, I think the novelty of what you said is how Lebowski is not a classic sports movie. So the juxtaposition of it is fun because I'm going to stay true to my point in saying every important decision is made at the bowling alley. It starts and ends in the bowling alley. Well, kind of starts, but it definitely ends with like this philosophical point where he's at the bar and, the narrator, Sam Elliott comes over, Gar comes over. And he's got that classic line. It's like, sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you. It's just like, yes, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Yes.
It's a very poignant
that happens
philosophy.
at a sports
and
complex.
It's this beautiful backdrop, and then the lasting shots of the movie are just these schlubs bowling.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a really beautiful movie.
You know what? You're bringing up good points here. Because here's the thing. If you can almost make the argument that if that plot didn't happen, it would have been a bowling movie. Like,
Totally.
It's almost like you know what happened with the Big Lebowski? A bowling movie got interrupted by a heist, a kidnapping movie.
That's the point. Is this is the most important thing in their lives is bowling. The semis. You rolled yourself into the semis, man. He's got a picture of Nixon bowling. That's his art in his apartment.
Yeah, you're right.
He listens to bowling as he's trying to meditate. He just listens to gutters and strikes.
But here's the thing, though.
As white noise. You know what I mean?
The best is, it's like they have it already. It's written on the tape. It's like some championship match from like 10 years prior. Or something.
Final 78. It's like...
But you know what? You're right. Like, it's what do you like better? The irony that, like, if they didn't get into this mess, it would have been a movie about them going to the championship.
Yeah,
I never
totally.
even thought of that. Like, it's one of those things, but Rudy actually follows through with it, and the whole movie's about the sport.
No, it's totally centered on.
But I'm like, which is more creative? It's like, it's almost like the more we dissect it, it's like, yeah, maybe Big Lebowski is the better sports movie.
Well,
because they love it. It's almost like it's fucking bowling, and they have the love for bowling. Like people are diehard about football.
They still come back to bowling. No matter what's going on in their lives, it all revolves around that fucking bowling alley.
Yeah,
and
you're
that
right.
is the most important thing. His religion gets in the way so much of it, where he's like, I told those fucks at the league office, I don't roll on Shomer Shabbos. It opens itself up into like larger points of life. The guy they're playing against is a pedophile.
Yeah.
Smokey.
Yeah,
Like,
Smokey.
he pulls a gun on Smokey to make a point, to drive a point home.
And he's like,
These guys are pacifists, man. Walter, he always brings everything about Vietnam. It's like, this is their whole world is centered around this one thing.
You got to think about it this way, man. Would Rudy, if he had to thrown into a thing where he had to survive, save somebody from a kidnapping, would football have gone by the wayside? Probably.
I think Rudy's a good enough guy where, yes, he would have done the right thing.
He would have gone and saved the person from the kidnap.
And in the end, the Lebowski gang does try to do the right thing. It's just they keep fucking it up because they're clowns.
Right, exactly. Well, that goes back to what I was saying before, where it was like, just by a comedy of errors, the thing gets solved.
Yeah.
But if you look at Rudy, it's like it's more inspiring than Big Lebowski is, because he's like,
Absolutely. 100%.
where he has this mission, he's following through, that he's working hard, like whatever it is.
Yeah. I never like want to go out and play football after, but I will go out and like, I'm gonna have a White Russian after I watch. You know what I
That's
mean?
a good point. That's a good point, where you're like, which affects you more?
Yeah.
After, like, when you watch, like, because you're right.
Because I totally did
I don't
that.
watch Rudy and go, I'm going to play football.
Right.
But I might go and be like, well, also because I like bowling. I might be like, I'll go bowl.
Totally.
Because it's the same thing where it's like, look at Rocky. After Rocky, people are pretending like they're boxers.
100%.
Oh, that's a good
Great
point
sports movies
against
do
Rudy.
that. Great sports movies do inspire you.
To like do something from the movie.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing, it's not like I'm like, hey, I'm going to take the L stats after.
I just watched Kramer versus Kramer.
After Rudy.
I just watched Legal Eagles.
Yeah, I just watched Rudy. I want to try to apply to Notre Dame. But you're 40. Yeah, but still.
Well, you got to go to junior college first at Holy Cross. And
So you have to wonder, now, man, it's really up for grabs. Like, which is the better sports movie? I'm starting to lean towards Big Lebowski here, because you're right. It's like, Big Lebowski, even though Rudy makes you cry and it's heartwarming, Rudy might be like, hey, it's like watching a sappy commercial.
Yeah.
Big Lebowski, it's like,
all he wants to do is bowl, and things just keep getting in the way.
Yeah.
And he's gonna do it eventually, but he's just like, man, if I could just finish this stuff, I can make a few bucks, and I just want to get back to bowling.
you know, it's a good question to ask, because it's almost the opposite characters. So you have to think, I'm like, I'm a pretty lazy person, I'd say. So it depends on who you relate to. So I relate to the dude more than I relate to Rudy, because Rudy is like,
Absolutely.
he's driven, he's doing all these classes and shit. And then you're right, all the Lebowski is like, I just want to bowl, let me just do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm more like that I am
100%.
like, I'm going to get past and talk to a priest and get past this college and all this crazy stuff. So one of them is like, hey, are you driven? Do you want to like succeed? The other one's
No.
like, hey, you just want to be and just be in the universe and be existing and be. It's kind of, it actually is something there. It's almost like a yin and yang situation. where it's
100%.
Like those guys would never meet up in real life because they're just.
Lebowski is a super philosophical movie when you bring. I think
really
people
is.
have like written theses on it.
I
Of,
think
you
you're
know,
right.
like the Tao of Lebowski.
Well, I've mentioned before on the podcast, it's when it came out, it bombed, and I loved it.
Totally. I remember
loved it
seeing
when
it in the
came
theater
out.
and being like, it was 97, I believe.
Yeah.
So I was 18, and I was like in high school. I remember going to see it with my buddy Brown, and because you just go to the movies to see whatever's out. And then we went to college, and then like 2 years later, it just had this groundswell of like, that's the best movie ever. It was like our new Caddyshack where we were quoting it.
Yep.
And it was
Exactly.
just like, anytime.
But when you remember when it came out, it didn't do well.
Yeah, no.
And that was the
their
time.
Movies traditionally don't do great. Like No Country for Old Men, but like Fargo was critically acclaimed.
Fargo
But
won
they're never
the-
box office smashes. You know what I mean?
No, but review-wise, like
Oh,
Fargo
yeah, they're
never got
always-
bad reviews.
No, I mean,
People consider Fargo like the perfect
yeah, I think
movie.
Frances McDormand won Best
Yeah,
Actress.
she did.
I think.
Yeah. But you're right. When it comes, and here's the thing, that came out at a time when reviews were a bigger deal than reviews are now.
100%.
Now people are just like, they're putting them together, they're making a Rotten Tomatoes score. You're like, what did they get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah,
What did they get on
like
Google users?
did you ever read a review before social media? Like I never.
No.
You would just go. I'd see the trailer and I'd go to the movies.
Yeah.
Because there was just no other way to do it. I'm not opening up the Chicago Tribune.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And reading Siskel and Ebert.
But-
that was basically it.
But I only, you know what I would read them? When I found out that, like, it didn't do well. Because I'd be like, how is that possible? And then
Yeah,
I would read
yeah.
Newsday or something would have, like, a little blurb. It wouldn't
Right.
be, like, a 2-page New York Times review. It would just be, like, a little blurb of, like, yeah, or you know what? Or when Siskel and Ebert was, like, a thing. Well, that show, people love that. They
Yeah.
would thumbs
It
up
was a
or thumbs
great
down.
show.
Yeah,
It really was
yeah.
good. They had
And
a
they
great-
hated each other
Oh,
hardcore.
totally.
Like-
Dude, you remember fucking picking up the paper and you'd have to look the movie times?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
It would always be like under the baseball scores.
And then there was Movie Phone, and that was, like, a revelation.
Oh, yeah.
And then Seinfeld had Movie Phone.
Why don't you just tell me the name of the movie?
Alex, you heard that? You heard that? Why don't you just tell me did you say...
Brown-Eyed Girl. Dude, we could do a whole nother episode just on Seinfeld fake movie titles.
Oh, I know.
Alone.
Well, we've talked about them on the show. Was it
Chunnel?
Chunnel? Prognosis
How do you get in
negative.
the chunnel? What's that guy doing in the chunnel? Now he's back in the chunnel. I like to go in fresh.
Rochelle became a movie.
Classic Tale from Milan to Minsk, of course.
Yeah, it was a young girl's journey from Milan to Minsk.
A young girl's
Erotic journey from Milan to Minsk. Prognosis negative was the big one.
Prognosis negative.
And also, I didn't know that. You told me this, right, Alex? Were you the one who told me that? Prognosis negative is the script that Larry David wrote. He wrote Prognosis Negative. It's about a guy who dates a girl who's terminally ill. Because he doesn't want to have to break up.
That's so funny.
He might be... Like, think about the legends that come out of that whole thing. Like, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is Carol Burnett status.
Yeah.
Carol Burnett,
100%.
She is unfucking
Veep
believable.
is fucking undeniably so funny.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Oh man, we just had on the Row Report on Sirius XM, we had Matt Walsh. You know, from
from
UCB
Veep.
and
Yeah.
from
Redhead guy.
And he was plugging his like new Melissa McCarthy movie, but like we kept going back. We were like, so Veep, we couldn't stay away from it.
Because it's too good.
It's
the
so
writing on
good.
it is the best writing on TV.
Yeah.
And they have a new episodes coming out, right? Are they coming out soon or something?
I don't know because she had cancer, I think.
I think they still have it. What'd you say, Alex?
She had cancer, so they're going to do it next season, September.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah, I saw it. I follow her on Instagram.
How'd that guy get in the channel? My favorite movie of all time.
Jaws is your favorite movie? Yeah, Jaws is
I have a
amazing.
fucking Jaws tattoo.
Oh, that's right, you do. You showed me that one time.
My cat's name is Quint.
What is it really?
I swear to God.
That's funny. Wait, what is the other?
Not to tell you, I had a stupid childhood memory. I've only been able to do it with one. I wanted a cat and 2 dogs, and I was going to name the cat Quint and the dogs Brody and Hooper. I was like, I'm going to have my own. This is going to be my family.
Yeah, it's going to be the Jaws family.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to get a shark. It's going to be named Jaws.
How good dog names are Brody and Hooper, though? They're perfect 2-syllable Brody, Hooper.
I think it's 2 great names.
Perfect.
That's amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah, you got to do that. You can still do it.
I can still do it, but yeah, you know,
we have
my
Quint-
one bedroom in Astoria is not housing.
Well, yeah. That's when you move to the country.
Right, exactly.
Let's wrap this up. Thank you so much for doing this, dude. I think we have decided
yeah,
that. I don't know. I'm still up in the air.
I think, well, here's the thing about two movies you love. It's hard to talk down about one of them. They're so classic in their own regard.
In their own regard.
In their own way.
I think we dissected.
And they're by no means were ever meant to be talked about in this fashion.
No way. No, that's why it's kind of silly. But we did come up with a lot of things about him.
Yeah.
And I think I went into this thinking like, all right, if you go, what's the better movie? I was thinking like, oh, Rudy's the better movie. But the more I talk about it, I'm like, it's not. Big Lebowski is the better movie.
Big Lebowski is the better movie.
I think it's the more creative movie.
It's the better
still
acted movie.
Yeah.
It's well written. It's beautifully written.
It is.
It's beautifully shot.
And it's more interesting
Great
of a movie.
soundtrack.
Yeah, unbelievable soundtrack. Well, you know they have that verbal, not the verbal trick, the trick in it in the script where dialogue that's used early in the movie, another character will use it later in the movie.
Yes, of course. I love that.
I love
that.
I think it's great.
This aggression.
But
Yeah.
I feel like people do that in real life. That's why it's so funny to me.
It's so really brilliantly
So
done.
I think Big Lebowski wins. I thought it was going to be Rudy, but I really do think if you're in my head, I'm like, which is more legendary, which is better? I think Big Lebowski edges it out. And I know that people are going to turn around and be like, why the fuck did you guys do this? But whatever, it was a fun episode.
So much fun,
Thank you
man.
for doing this, man.
Thanks for having me.
What do you want to do? What do you want to plug? Twitter or
You
anything?
can listen. Yeah, sure. All social media, it's just Andy Fiori, Fiori. And then, listen if you have SiriusXM, my show on every Thursday, live at 4 p.m. on Raw Dog 99. It's the Raw Report. And, we got to get we just talk to comics and
Nice.
bullshit and have a fun time.
That'd be great, yeah. And I am at Shawnee Time on Twitter. We are on Showbiz Studios right now. Thank you so much to Alex. Hit them up on their YouTube page, also their iTunes page. We will see you next week with Farrah Brook. All right, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
My friend, there's a time